They called my barn an eyesore. I called it mine. But the day I came home and saw tire tracks and rubble where my walls used to be, I didn't call the cops. I walked straight to the dam I built myself. Because what they didn't know is their whole lake depends on a pipe I control. Hey everyone, before we dive in, tell me in the comments, which country are you watching from? Now let's get into it. I've lived on this land for 17 years. I bought it outright, no mortgage, no loans, just a man, a piece of land, and time. I cleared the trees, poured the concrete, and built my barn with my own hands. Tin roof, cedar walls, deep footings. The kind of barn built to outlive you. For most of those 17 years, my nearest neighbor was a mile away. But about 5 years back, some developer got clever with zoning and carved up the hill across from me into Lakeview lots. They called it Hidden Shores. HOA, of course. Gated entrance, weekly board meetings, white fences that never stay white. At first, I didn't care. Their lake was man-made, about 100 yards across, and technically fed by runoff water routed through my side of the hill. See, long ago, I'd built a small flood control dam to protect my pastures in spring. I even added a pipe valve for overflow. Nobody asked me about it, but suddenly they were drawing water from it like it was public property. Still, I minded my business, until Karen showed up. She got herself elected president of the HOA about a year ago and came in hot. Started mailing me complaints about structure violations and visual pollution. Her tone was smug. Her stationery had gold lettering. One letter said the HOA board had voted that my barn needed to be brought up to code or removed. I didn't reply. My land's outside HOA jurisdiction. But one Thursday afternoon, I pulled up from town with diesel in the back of my truck and saw nothing but flattened soil and a few splinters where my barn had stood. Tire tracks, bulldozer prints, the stink of fresh fuel. They'd actually done it. And I swear to you, I didn't yell. I didn't call the sheriff. I smiled, calmly backed up the truck, and walked to the valve shed down by the dam. Because I already knew. They had taken something from me. But I held the handle to everything they loved. The thing about these HOA types is they're bold when they think the law's on their side. But they've got no clue how much of the world runs quietly behind their little paperwork kingdoms. The day after they flattened my barn, Karen came by in a white SUV with HOA board president printed on a magnetic sign stuck to the driver door, like she thought she was running for office. She parked just off my gravel road like it was public space, stepped out in a visor and pastel polo, and walked right up like she was here to bless me with some kind of wisdom. "You should have responded to the notices," she said, not even pretending to be sorry. "We gave you every opportunity to correct the violations." I looked at her, calm. I didn't even ask who sent the bulldozer. I already knew. Nobody else would dare. I just said, "You know this ain't HOA land." Her lips curled. "It affects property value. And your structure was an eyesore to the Hidden Shores community. It violated aesthetic cohesion." "Aesthetic cohesion," I repeated. She pointed toward my dam. "We're also requesting formal easement access to the water retention area you built. Legal access for ongoing HOA use." That's when I almost laughed. They destroy my barn, and now they want to officially claim use of the water I manage? "No," I said. She blinked. "Excuse me?" I took a step closer. "That reservoir doesn't belong to the HOA, neither does the pipe. That flow is runoff from my pasture and rain from my hill. I control the valve. Always have." Her voice sharpened. "You can't just cut off access to a neighborhood lake. That's vandalism." I smiled. "Cut off? Not yet." That shook her for half a second. Then she pulled out a manila envelope and handed me papers stamped with emergency community easement pending review. "You'll be hearing from our attorneys," she said, smug again. I didn't take the papers. "You'll want to read those," she added, "and until the board settles this, we'll be accessing the water daily." She turned and walked back to her SUV like she'd won something. And I stood there on my own land, barnless but not powerless. Because she didn't realize I'd already started slowly turning that valve down. Just a notch. Just enough. Let them keep coming. Let them keep watching their little lake get lower by the day. By the end of the week, the HOA was in full panic mode and still hadn't figured out why. Every morning, joggers from Hidden Shores passed the reservoir trail, pointing out the cracked mud creeping along the lake's edges. Their prized man-made lake, once perfect for paddleboards and family photos, was turning into a brown sinkhole. Ducks waddled where boats used to be. A few of the waterfront houses now had docks dangling over dust. Karen showed up again on Thursday, this time with two board members and a guy in khakis who kept flashing a badge that said Community Environmental Oversight. I stayed by my fence, arms crossed, watching them pretend to investigate erosion patterns like this was some mystery of nature. Karen spotted me and marched over. "What did you do to the water?" "Nothing," I said, deadpan. "I've simply limited overflow." She shoved another document in my face. "This is obstruction. You're withholding water from a regulated zone." "No, ma'am," I said. "That's runoff, not a utility. You don't get to file an easement and then cry sabotage when it doesn't go your way." Her voice got sharper. "We'll file an injunction." I nodded. "Go ahead. Just make sure your attorneys look up the 1993 water access agreement between this ranch and the county. You'll see exactly where your rights end." Truth is, most of them didn't even know that document existed. My uncle had it drafted back when the first developer tried building near the lake. It clearly defined the reservoir as agricultural support, not community access. Legally, I could shut the whole thing down as long as I wasn't harming the environment. But I wasn't done. I called a local hydrologist I knew from a soil conference and asked him to come inspect the dam. We took readings, we documented flow history, we tested the safety of a full shutdown. He signed off with a quiet chuckle. "If they push this through court, they'd get laughed out," he said. "It's your water, your dam, and you're not under any supply contract." "Then I think it's time I close the gate completely," I said. But I wasn't reckless. I gave it 2 more days just to let Karen strut around and accuse me to every neighbor, spreading rumors about fines that didn't exist and lawsuits that hadn't even been drafted. Then, early Sunday morning, I grabbed my keys and walked to the dam shed. I turned the crank. The sluice valve closed with a deep metallic groan. By noon, the resort lake was officially cut off. Now, we wait, because Karen was about to find out just how much power she never had. By Monday morning, Hidden Shores looked like a dried-up postcard. The lakefront homes were now staring at cracked earth. Lounge chairs sat crooked on hardened mud. A family tried to paddle in ankle-deep water and got stuck halfway. HOA board members huddled near the shoreline with worried looks and clipboards, whispering while avoiding eye contact with residents demanding refunds and answers. Karen? She was fuming. She stormed down my driveway before noon, wearing a wide-brimmed hat and fake pearls, barking into her phone like she was leading a war room. "No, they paid for lake access. This is on him. The county needs to... Yes, now!" She didn't even knock, just started yelling from the fence. "You think this is funny? You're going to prison for this, you miserable." I held up a hand, calm as ever. "Karen, do you even know what a civil contract is?" "I know sabotage when I see it." "You illegally demolished my barn," I reminded her. "And when I didn't roll over, you weaponized the HOA to try and punish me. So I simply withdrew my voluntary contribution." She fumed. "This whole development is collapsing because of you." "No, Karen," I said. "It's collapsing because you built on land you didn't own, depended on a resource you didn't pay for, and pissed off the only person keeping it alive." That's when the reporter showed up. Someone from Channel 9 had caught wind of the drying lake bed and showed up with a mic, asking questions. I didn't say much, just pointed them to the survey markers, the old water agreement, and the missing barn. But Karen? Oh, she couldn't help herself. She tried spinning it like I'd committed eco-terrorism. Started ranting about people like him hoarding resources and this kind of selfish behavior. She even said, "They come out here, take over our peaceful neighborhoods, then act like we owe them." The camera was still rolling, and that was it. By the next day, that clip had gone viral. Not because of me, but because of her. The racism, the entitlement, the hypocrisy, it was all captured in a clean 12-second video. Sponsors pulled out of Hidden Shores. Families canceled their move-ins. One couple filed a class action suit for misrepresentation of amenities. The county finally stepped in, confirmed I had every right to my dam, and slapped the HOA with a cease and desist for trying to strong-arm me with false authority. Karen was removed from the board within a week. But the best part, every time it rained after that, I watched the water collect behind my gate, and not a drop went to the resort. Revenge didn't have to be loud. It just had to be permanent.